Hey, yo, what up, what up, what up? What's good, what's good, what's good? Hey, shout out to the graveyard shift. Shout out to the night shift. Shout out to them boys who got to work on the weekends during the holiday weekends. I don't know when I'm going to release this, but I did this before the 4th of July. So shout out to everybody out there. I hope you have a good 4th of July weekend. Yes, I do celebrate 4th of July. So to hell with the pro blacks. That's right, I said it. And shout out to all the people who got to work the graveyard shift during the 4th of July weekend. One of the things that I don't do during the 4th of July weekend is I celebrate it, but I don't travel. Because most of your accidents from people are going to come during holidays. I think y'all all know that by now. And most of the people trying to get that little extra cream on the crop, so they jacking up them prices. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't mad at it. I get it. I just don't celebrate it like that. I celebrate it in spirit, just not in presence. If you know what I'm saying. Here's a little economical tip for y'all. If you struggling, if you hustling, and you trying to find a way to make more money, one of the things that I did before I became a millionaire is I used to work holidays. Absolutely. A lot of people thought I was an atheist, or they thought I was a I think it's Jehovah Witness. I don't know. One of those religions is the one that don't celebrate holidays, and I don't want to put that on Jehovah Witness. I'm not saying that's them, but I know one of those particular religions, they are known for not celebrating holidays. So every job that I've ever worked, people would say, "Why are you always volunteering to work holidays? Why are you some kind of Jehovah Witness or some kind of, practicing Buddhist or something like that?" I would say, "No." "Are you an atheist?" I'm like, "No, no, no." I would laugh and say, "Hell no." And I was like, "Well, why you always want to work holiday?" I'm like, "Shit, that's overtime." They call me Mr. Overtime. That's what I used to do. So every year I would literally calculate all the hours that I would get from working on holidays. I would calculate that into me making extra money. And it would always work. I last time I checked, I don't know. I haven't worked for someone in a long time. I've been retired for about 10 years now. And because I became a millionaire when I was 32. So I'm in my early 40s now. So it's been a while, but basically, that was one of the ways that I did it. I would always work holidays. And people would say, "Man, do you ever celebrate any holiday?" I was like, "I always celebrate holidays. Every hell yeah. After I leave this job from looking at y'all, I go home and I celebrate the holiday." And usually what I found is that that was mostly the easy money. Oh yeah. You go like when I used to work at the airport, man, please. Working the day of the holiday at the airport, that's the best day in the world. The day you don't want to work is the day after, and you definitely don't want to work that Sunday. So let's say the holiday fall on a Thursday or Friday. Boy, you do not want to be at work on that Sunday. That Sunday is going to be hell. They're going to be calling mandatory overtime, all kinds of shit. And guess what I would usually do? I would usually swap days. See, if let's say the holiday was on Friday, and if I had Friday off. Let's say I had Friday off, because sometimes I used to have Friday off. Your schedules change. If I knew somebody didn't have Friday off, but they wanted to fly out that weekend, All Star Weekend, July 4th, whatever it is, I would swap that day. I would say, "Well, I'll work the Friday for you. You coming back on Sunday, you work my Sunday." So on that Friday, I'll be literally sleeping at the job. I be bullshit with the supervisor. We didn't do shit on the day of. But boy, that Sunday would show up and boom. So I got paid more money and I got out of the harder days. So it used to work out. That's just a little economical tip I would tell y'all. Now some of y'all got families and y'all really maybe have religious ties or even patriotic ties. Some people got to have the 4th of July. That's fine. I'm not here to disagree with you, but if you want to raise your money up and it's easy money that you don't even have to think about, Think about working them holidays. I think we're up to what, 7 or 8 paid holidays? What is it? Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Christmas, and New Year's, and Martin Luther King Day. I think we're up to what, 7? And maybe President's Day. It depends on what state you live in too, because some states celebrate certain state holidays, and that's time and a half too. And guess what? On those days, if you work that holiday, you would get time and a half the whole day, which is overtime, and you can get double time. I used to do it. I think I bought one of my first cutlass like that. I saved up like 3 holiday paychecks and I bought a cutlass, you know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. Just a little light spirit for y'all out there. Shout out to the graveyard shift who got to work. And you know, graveyard, you in some graveyards you get what's called, like the nurses, they get nighttime pay. So they get night pay, which is a little bit better. And if you work for the government, that's per diem at night. And then you get time and a half, which is on top of that night pay. And if you stay, you get double time. I used to be killing it, boy. I used to love coming in. Now, okay, let me say this too. All right. There's one holiday that I did not like to work. It was one, and that was New Year's. So I will say that if the holidays that I really didn't like to work were New Year's, because those are the days where I used to go get laid. Ain't nothing like going to a New Year's party. You pretty much, if you go to a New Year's party and you can't do some finger banging or get a blowjob, and ladies, if you can't find a man in your case, there's something wrong with you. Most New Year's Eve party, the last one I went to was a while ago. I ended up banging a chick, you know. I pulled out the club. So that's the only day I don't like. I don't like New Year's. If I can prevent it, I will not work New Year's. But all the other ones, Christmas, I don't give a shit. You can work me all day on them holiday. But New Year's is my day I don't want to work. All right, y'all. So that's a little light note. If y'all new to my channel, I'm Alpha the First One. I'm a very unorthodox speaker, as you can see. I'm going to talk the way I want to talk, okay? You don't like the way I talk? Leave. Please, there's the exit. I thank you for the view, but keep it moving. Please don't harass my trolls. Shout out to all the trolls out there. We love the trolls. They give us a view and they talk about us. Talking about us is good publicity. That's free publicity. All right, it's me, your man, your boy, Alpha the First One. The YouTube page is called A11 E-Waste Dating Tips by A11 or E-Waste Dating Tips by A11. It doesn't matter. As long as you put E-Waste Dating Tips and you see that nice, lovely E-Waste art in the picture there, that's what I do. I show you E-Waste art and I talk about dating and mating as a system. I wrote a book about dating and mating as a system, two competing systems in the world. Not the topic that you see on the screen right now, but two competing systems based on one basic concept, which is regulation. Much like capitalism versus communism or Georgism. Georgism is just another fancy name for communism. I had a discussion with a guy about Georgism, and he was trying to convince me to be a Georgist. And I'm like, dude, the only Georgist I want to be is an ATL, okay? I'm not trying to let you steal my land on some ethical moral dilemma of letting everybody be renters. That's what Georgism is, if you didn't know. Let's make everybody renters and they'll be happy. Where's private property rights? Now that you're a renter, you could be evicted from your house within 30 days. I mean, this is nonsense. Foolishness. But anyway, so I wrote my book about it. The name of my book is The GPS versus SPG Dating Maintenance System Concept. It will be released this year. Been waiting on the copyrights. Got some updates on that. Copyrights looking very good. When it come out, I'll let y'all know how to purchase it. I'll put the link and all that stuff. I'll do a launch, all that stuff, all on my own. And if you're on multiple websites, I'm on multiple websites. You can look for me under A11 Media Production. I have multiple YouTube pages and I do a lot of different things. I just don't talk about dating and mating. And you can find me on Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, D2. You know what I'm saying. Just look for Alpha the First One or E-Waste Dating Tips or A11 Media. I say that every time. If you can't remember that, stop it right here. Replay back. Alpha the First One, E-Waste Dating Tips, or A11 Media Production. You know, A11, Alpha the First One, A11. All right. So there it is. Those are the formalities. Let me get into the game tonight. All right. The topic of tonight is going to be a really, really complex discussion. And I wanted to do this because there seems to be this idea that's happening offline and online. That's another thing I keep telling y'all. You need to be careful what you hear online, not so much offline. See, that's what keeps messing up the presidential election. Everybody keeps focusing on what people are saying online, and they're not getting information offline. Shout out to Willie Brown, downtown Willie Brown. Love downtown Willie Brown. I think he's one of the top 5 black politicians we've ever had. Whether you agree with him or not, the man is a master expert. He's an expert in politics. The man is awesome. And if you go back and look at his assessment of the last election we had for president, and you know Kamala Harris, that's his girl. That's his boo. But he gave an assessment and he laid it out. He said it outright. He said, we didn't get nothing right. He said, I ain't never seen an election like this in my 70 years of doing politics. 70 years. And the brother looked good. He looked good for his age. Shout out to downtown Willie Brown. Still sharp as a tack. And I know they still call him and ask him how to win elections. But he laid it out. He said, we didn't do nothing right. And that's what made him so angry. He said, everyone keeps talking about why they got this wrong, but they won't accept that they didn't do nothing right. Say, we didn't do anything right. We didn't have this thing close. He said, Trump kicked our butt. Trump hoodwinked us. He took our voters from us. Boom. And the only way that can happen when Willie Brown was talking about that is people were too much online. Why do I always tell y'all? Make sure you do something. So for my new listeners, the best way to listen to me, put me on some headphones, go for a walk. You can get your cardio, your circulation right, your stretching, and you can listen to me help you get some better tips in our current unregulated dating and mating system. We don't have any rules and regulations. So most of the tips I'm giving you is to survive the unregulated system. If you're in a regulated system and you listen to me, shout out to them boys overseas. I know y'all listen to me in India, in Manar, and all those other countries. Shout out to them folks out there in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. I know y'all listening to me. Y'all don't have all those issues because you got rules and regulations. So most of the tips is not really going to help y'all because that's already decided. That's the benefits of regulated dating and mating. But essentially, that you got to be careful of what happens online. These things that are happening online don't always translate to offline. Notice all these damn trends they keep coming up with. Let me borrow your husband. Let me borrow your wife. We now got husband application. You know, the TikTok girls, every week they come up with something new. And I do believe that is being put out by demoralization groups, anarchist groups, things like that. I do believe that. I do believe it's psychological warfare coming from foreign countries. Absolutely. TikTok is from in where? China. You think China's not putting that shit out to affect the United States population? That's why I'm not on TikTok. I usually hear about TikTok girls from other creators. If I see it, you know how it comes up in your feed. TikTok girl said this. TikTok girl said that. And I just say, okay, what did she say? Every week, every month, they coming up with a new trend. And people going in circles trying to keep up with it. Like a bunch of cows, they're being herded around on the internet. I just take a mental note of them and say, oh, well, new trend, keep it moving. Click, swipe left, whatever you say, click past it, cancel it, keep it moving. So please, the reason why I'm talking about this tonight is because there's this issue that's happening offline and online, but more so offline. The online, I'm not really concerned with it because I know that's just clicks and views and the trendiest thing to say. But the offline, I'm concerned with it. And there's this online idea that there's going to be a new secular dating system, right? Versus a new religious dating system. That's what's going on offline. That they think that those two things are going to coexist. The secular dating system versus the religious dating system. And what concerned me is the religious people, they think that the secular and the religious can coexist together. Or the religious dating system is going to win out. That's not going to happen. Those two things cannot coexist. It's not like, think of it like this: you can't have a country that predominantly runs off of capitalism and predominantly runs off of communism. That doesn't make any sense. You can have small elements of the two within one another, like China. China has some elements of capitalism. They do. They have a stock exchange. They allow some people to own certain businesses, but at any moment, that government can say, "Hey, that's us. We taking it from you," and the people can't do nothing about it. And over here in America, we have a primarily free market economic system. You're allowed to own your businesses, but within the government, we do some forms of, as you can say, communistic slash socialistic programs such as safety net, food stamps, Section 8, things like that, Medicaid, Medi-Cal. So you can have certain elements of each system within it, but you can't have a majority of both. That's impossible. Some people think that you can have a majority of both or even 50-50. That's not going to work. I'm saying that in order for you to have these two systems, they cannot coexist with being equal or both having the same power. That's impossible. If I can use percentages to explain the concept, you're not going to have a 50% secular and a 50% religious. That's not going to work. That's the society will collapse. It's not going to work. One or the other is going to be the majority. You can have a 60% religious and 40% secular. That might work. That might work, but once again, you're going to run right back into the same problem. 40% is a lot. That's a big percentage. If you ask anyone in a company, "Hey man, I own 40% of this company." That's a large percentage in that company. No, you don't have the final say, but goddamn it, they gotta listen to you. When you go to the meeting, you better believe you show a 40% shareholder, you are gonna get, "What do you want, sir? I think we should be doing this." Boom, there you go. You don't get the final word, but I'll be damned if you can't say something. So what am I saying? You're not going to have 40%. Hell, you're not even going to have 30%. At best, you're going to get 10%. You're going to get a solid 10% of the other system if these two systems are going to coexist, because that's the issue that I'm seeing offline. The religious people, they're trying to say, well, we can have a religious dating system and, it can coexist without the people who don't want to do the religious stuff. And I'm saying, no, that's not possible. That is not going to happen. They're trying to do that right now. That's what the whole trad wife stuff is about. They're pushing the trad wife stuff under the umbrella of a religious dating system. All right? That's the issue. And what they don't realize is that the majority data system right now is what? Secular. We have a secular dating system. We don't fall under no religious doctrine in terms of dating and mating in America. And even the West, meaning Canada, UK, Australia, certain parts of Japan, and certain parts of South Korea. Any country that's heavily influenced by American culture, right? They have adopted American no rules and regulation. You can see all the results. That's a secular dating system. This is a deep topic tonight. Please take note, because this is a very complex subject that I have to explain. So I wanted to get that up front. The idea that the religious people are going to create a religious dating system that will coexist with a secular dating system, which is what we have right now, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. One or the other is going to be the dominant. Right now, the secular dating system is the dominant system. It's 90%. Period. It's 90%. It has 90% of the shareholders' power. Period. And the religious people only got 10% of the shareholders' power. It is what it is. So, in order for me to explain this concept, let me explain to you what a secular dating system is and what a religious dating system is. So that I can tell you that my initial premise that the two cannot coexist, they will not exist, right? One will be the majority, the other will be a clear minority, 10% at best, is the only way that it would work if they was to exist. Meaning technically they're coexisting as a 90-10 split. But that 10%, you can't go to no meeting with 10% and tell them really what to do. All you doing is collecting the check, okay? You show up to a shareholder meeting with 10% value in the company. They'll say, yeah, Simmons, what do you want us to, what are you here for, Simmons? Well, I'm here to say that, well, let me tell you something, Simmons. You going to get your check in the mail and that's that. You ain't got enough stakeholdership in this company for us to listen to 10%. Now, if you came in here with 40% held, I even say 35, we'll consider it. But you definitely not coming into this shareholders meeting telling us 10%, you going to have a 10% vote on what's going on. That's not going to happen. You're going to get a check from whatever we decide that's going on, and that's that. And most people say, fair enough. All I got to do is get a check. That's all you going to get. Fair enough. I'll take it and go. All right, so keep that concept in mind, the stakeholder shareholder principle. Just keep that in mind. All right, so the secular dating system, it is a system that is outside of religious doctrine. That's all it is. When I say secular, think of the country of America. America is a secular government. We have a secular government. What am I saying? We don't have a religious doctrine or religious person or religion, a one religion or multiple religion deciding what we do in this country. We have a what? Constitutional republic. And what is a constitutional republic? It's just a document that the founding fathers agreed to. They agreed to it, they argued over it, they written it up, and then they died for it. That's all it is. They put their life on the line for that to be the law of the land. That's it. That's all it is. A constitutional republic is a document that the founding fathers, the creators of a country, would create, and they would put their life on the line for it. Period. That's all it is. Now, that's not to say that a constitutional republic can't have a theological or theocracy aspect. That is possible. I believe that's the situation in Iran. They have a republic. They do, but it's a theocracy. It's entwined with the religion of Islam. Shout out to my Muslims out there. See, so they have a constitution. Yes, they do. But it's entwined with religion. It is a theocracy. That is not a secular government. That is a non secular government. That is a religious government. So a secular dating system, it operates the same way, meaning it is a group of rules and principles, regulation laws that are not inside religious doctrine. Please keep that in mind. That's very important. And that doctrine is backed up by the government. So right off the bat, some of y'all should be saying, Alpha, I can see what you mean. There's no way a secular data system would work with a religious government. See what I'm saying? It's not going to work. Because right off the top, the secular data system is in conflict with the institution that's needed to support it. So right off the bat, our lovely friends offline, I'm not talking about online, I'll get to those. Our lovely friends offline that think they're going to make a religious dating system and have the government of the United States support it, they going to get a sad, rude awakening. If y'all didn't know, I served in the military. I love serving in the military. I'm retired military. I joined the military when I was 16. I think, what, 16 and a half? And I'll never forget it. I had to swear in that big red room. And one of the things I learned when I went through the military, we have what's called a chaplain. Shout out to all the chaplains out there. Chaplains' number one role is not to spread their religion. Actually, chaplains are getting rolled up for that. Our chaplain was hardcore. He was hardcore. That guy was airborne, ranger, all that stuff. He was a hardcore chaplain. We also had a chaplain who was special forces. I was in a lot of, special groups and all that stupid shit. Not SF. I was not in FSS, but I was at Fort Bragg and I was airborne, and all that crap, you know. But the bottom line is his job as a chaplain is what? To be a religious figure for all religious persons in the military. You can go to the chaplain as a Muslim. He has to know how to do a Muslim prayer with you. He has to know how to do a Christian prayer with you, a Buddhist prayer with you. Absolutely. Our chaplain used to hold Muslim prayers and Muslim meetings. It's based on Freemason doctrine. And I'm not sure if he was a Freemason, but I'm sure he probably was. That's where they get it from. Remember, in Freemason doctrine, what's the primary basis of Freemason doctrine? Based on what I know as a non-Mason. I'm not a Freemason. I'm not. But based on my research, they believe in a supreme being, a great architecture of the universe. That's what the G stands for, compass and scale. And the G stands for there has to be a God. You cannot be an atheist and be a Freemason. That is, I think they treat that very severely. They don't support that, from what I know. I'm not a Freemason, so if I'm wrong, if I'm stepping on any Freemason toes, I apologize. But from what I researched, they don't like that. They don't like when you are an atheist. They don't tolerate that. You have to believe in a God. They don't care what God, but you have to believe in the supreme being, a great architecture of the universe. That is a theist position. All right. But they run it as a secular organization. What am I saying? Secular meaning they don't have a tie to any one specific religion, much like our government. Our government is a theist government. Theist. It does acknowledge the idea or concept of the existence of God. A lot of atheists don't like that. A lot of atheist people have made a lot of challenges to the United States Constitution at the Supreme Court level because a lot of atheists feels that violates their constitutional rights, usually under freedom of speech, First Amendment. But the Supreme Court has ruled multiple times that that is constitutional because the founding fathers were theists. They did support the Constitution acknowledging the idea and theory of a God. So a lot of atheists lose on that account because they didn't write the Constitution to not include the ideal of a God. Does that make sense? They mention the word God in the Constitution. Declaration of Independence, all that stuff, Bill of Rights, all that stuff. The ideal of a God is not like it's not a part of the United States Constitution. It is. But what makes the religious people angry is they don't specify a specific God that they're talking about. Meaning they don't say the Christian God. They don't say the Buddhist God, the Wicca God, the Satanist God, the Islamic God. You get it? The Gaia, planet Earth, Captain Planet, They don't say that God either. We got people believe that, by the way. That is the climate change religion. Look that up. Climate change has become a religion now. They believe in Gaia and the Mother Earth and all that stuff. No, the founding fathers don't care what God you believe in. They just want you to have the right to believe in your God. So they created what's called a secular government. A secular dating system runs the same way. meaning there is not going to be one particular religion telling you and making up the rules and regulations of the dating system. The rules and regulations will come from non religious entities. What are non religious entities? Well, what's supposed to be non religious? I'll say that because we do have a problem in the academic arena where some people are trying to make science a religion. Can you believe that shit? And that's blasphemous because I have a degree in biology. That is blasphemous. My professors would fail you if you come in there with some kind of pointing to science being a religion. They would, and I have philosopher professors who would fail you if you come in there saying science is supposed to be a religion. This is ridiculous, but we have people trying to do it. Why? I think it's to sell books, but that's just my opinion. But essentially, when you say non religious entities would be creating the rules and regulations of a secular dating system, that would be science, that would be psychologists, sociologists, philosophers. You understand? That would be like the Institute of Family Studies, which I'm not saying they don't have a religious leaning, but it's a nonprofit. It doesn't really have a direct religious leaning. You get it? They're just studying dating and mating, marriage outcomes, things like that. It would have to be organizations that's not tied specifically to a specific religion. You couldn't get information from the Islamic or the Buddhist or the Catholic or the Orthodox. You get what I'm saying? It'd have to be an entity that may be affiliated religion, but it can't be officially a religious organization. Those are the bodies that would be contributing to formatting a secular dating system. Most of the laws, rules, and regulations created under that will be based on logic, outcomes, evolutionary psychology, and statistical analysis. And you might have some influences from religion, meaning if religion was doing something that made sense logically, then you can say, well, I borrowed the influence of this idea to be put into the secular system from religion. That's true. You would see that. A good example of that is our current United States government. A lot of people say that the structure of the US government, the secular government, it is borrowed from Christian theology. What is Christian philosophy? It's the philosophy of the Trinity, the great three in one. Look that up. The idea that God is God, God is Jesus, and God is the Holy Spirit. The Trinity, the great three in one. See what I'm saying? If you look at our government, we have what? The president, we have the legislative, and we have the judiciary. All right. The legislative is broken to, the Senate and the House. The two places that ain't shit getting done. Something get passed in the House, then it goes to the Senate. They say DOA is not even going to be talked about. I think that's the running joke. The Senate is the House is the place where ideals are born. The Senate is the place where ideas die. That's a good political joke if y'all didn't know that. Look up, and it's very fascinating to study the House and the Senate. It's very fascinating because a lot of our problems in society is coming from the House and Senate. That's where, in my opinion, that's where the problems are at. Because in my opinion, we need term limits. That's my issue. I think if we put term limits on the Senate and the House, a lot of issues will stop happening. Because some of these people, they just get up in there and they stay there for 20, 30 years and literally accomplish nothing. But they always run into a camera to make a comment. You know what I'm saying? To make a statement. It's unbelievable. Camera hogs. You know what I'm saying? So the idea that a secular system can borrow or be influenced by a religion, that is possible. That doesn't make it a religious system. It just borrowed some ideas from the religion, like our government did. Our government borrowed the idea of the Trinity from Christianity, if you think about it. But notice, we don't have a religious government. We're not a theocracy. Many of the so called Christian nationalists, right? They are a funny bunch. They really think that they're going to formulate some kind of theocracy without violence. That's not going to happen. I can promise you they are going to have to be, if this country is going to become a theocracy, right? Or to have an official religion, because that's what they want. They want Christianity as the official religion of the land. I keep telling them, you can want that all you want, but you're going to have to do violence to get there. And I'm not advocating for violence because I don't support them. I don't support Christian nationalism. That is an anti-American movement, and I don't support that at all. I'll be the one fighting against them if they want to try to bring that to life, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way. But that's another story for another day. So essentially, a secular dating system can borrow elements from a religion, but that doesn't mean it's a religious system. And it's going to be governed mostly by logic, statistics, non religious organizations, psychology, sociology, and evolutionary biology. Now, right off the bat, if you're thinking alpha, I don't think feminists would like that system. You would be right. Feminists would not like the secular dating system. Absolutely not. Boom. Feminists would love the religious dating system. I'll prove it. I'll prove it. So I just explained to you what secular dating system is and the concept of secular. Let's talk about a religious dating system. See, a religious dating system is pretty much in the name. It's a dating system that was created on a specific religion. Pop quiz. Could the Freemasons create a dating system? Now let's think about that. The Freemasons believe in God, and they do acknowledge the ideal of God and multiple religions, but they don't adhere to one. They don't, to my knowledge. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. From what I heard, there are Freemasons who are Christians, and Freemasons who are Muslims, and Freemasons who are Buddhists. But from what I heard, a lot of those religions don't like it when their members do that. From what I heard, this is what I heard. I'm not trying to say this is true. This is all speculation based on my individual research. I'm not a Freemason. All right. But from what I heard, those religions don't like Freemasonry because of that. From what I heard, Freemason has different types of chants and different types of prayers that are outside of those religious doctrine. They have different religious or quasi-religious ceremonies, you know, and there's this idea that they pray to a different kind of God. I mean, hey, I'm not going to say no names. That's all speculation and research. I'm just going to leave it at that. So the idea that could Freemasons create a religious dating system? No, they would not be able to do it because they don't adhere to one religion. That's the problem. So when you say, well, Alpha, a religious dating system, what specifically is that? A religious dating system is going to have one religion, the majority religion, making the rules and regulations for that specific society. See, you have to understand that you can't have two supremes. That's oxymoronic. I talked about this before. That's why when you hear the people talk about white supremacy, you can't have white supremacy and black supremacy. That's oxymoronic. Either white is supreme or black is supreme, or brown is supreme, or green is supreme. So you can't say, well, I'm going to have an Islamic religion, and that religious data system will be the main religion. And I'm gonna have a Christian religion. That's going data system. That's gonna be the main religion in the society. That's oxymoronic. It won't work. You're gonna have a segregated society. We know how that where that ends. Many of those countries overseas, they're struggling with that right now. Yeah, they say on the books we allow other people to have different religions, but we all know that does not always carry out in practicality in real life. So a religious data system, the primary difference is that a religious data system is going to have one religion, just one, that will dictate the rules and regulations in dating and mating systematically. Those rules and regulations will come out of the religion and they will be put into law by the government. Now, pop quiz. Can you have a secular government? I already talked about this, but you should pretty much understand it. Can you have a secular government with a religious dating system? No, you cannot. See, the government has to be entwined with a religious in order to have a religious dating system. It will not work. That is why Iran has a republic slash theocracy. See, it's a theocracy. If you look at India, they have a republic slash theocracy. Once again, these places say on paper, we allow different religions. They say that. But we all know off paper that ain't happening. The majority religion is what dominates the law of the land over there. It is what it is. Let's all grow up. Let's just grow up. That's what makes America great or bad, if you depends on how you look at it. People say it's bad because we don't have one religion guiding our morals and ethics and laws. But people say it's great because anybody could come over here and get it popping. You could be anything over here. And next thing you know, you sitting high, driving the Phantom Rose, you know what I'm talking about, doing your thing. You see? So it's all perspective. So a religious dating system absolutely needs a theocratic government for it to be into law, for it to work. It can't work without it. No theocratic government, you will not have a religious dating system. That is why I told y'all the so-called people offline who are screaming for a return to tradition under religion, they're going to fail because the government is not set up for them to have that. The government is not designed and formulated right now on the idea of having one main religion make rules and regulations for dating and mating. It doesn't exist. When you go in front of a judge, let's say you want to get married right now. When you go in front of a judge, you have to request, you have to ask that judge to marry you under whatever religious ideas you want. Some judges, I think I just read a story where there's a judge who got compensated because she did not want to marry a I think it was a lesbian couple, or it might have been a homosexual couple, two men, or I don't know if it was two men or two women. I know it was an LGBTQ couple. She just got compensated damn near $1 million because she refused to do it. She said it violated her religious doctrine. Now she's a judge, by the way. She is a judge. And remember, judges are supposed to be what? A-religious. But they wanted her to perform in a quasi sort of religious ceremony. Weddings come from religion. It is what it is. And though LGBTQ marriages are legal, they are legal, right? But This is the fine line we're walking. There is something called religious freedom. And then yet judges are supposed to be what? A-religious. See? I know it's complex. Anybody can make an answer. Anybody can make a response to that. And in my opinion, it wouldn't be a wrong answer. If you said, well, that judge was wrong, it's a judge, it's a government, she's supposed to be a-religious, she should have married that couple. But then people who on the other side say, hey, no, that judge has absolutely a right to believe their religious beliefs, and their religious beliefs conflict whatever ceremony that they doing, which comes out of religion, by the way. They shouldn't be forced to do it. Look, it is what it is. Depends on where you are in the state and the country where you're going to get a judgment like that. That's just the way it goes. So the idea that the people who are offline trying to get a return back to tribe wives, and then they're going to go to the government and have the government support this stuff, that's ludicrous. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be universally accepted because our government don't have one religion. We don't have it. We have a secular government. We don't have a religious government. Since we don't have a religious government, we're not going to get a religious dating system. Now, some of y'all probably already thought about this, but I want you to pay attention to this. I talk about how before the sexual revolution, there were rules and regulations. We did have a regulated dating system. We did. That regulated dating system was held up. It was held up in law by a religious dating system. Absolutely. Most of the rules and regulations before the sexual revolution were coming from religion. So we did have a religious dating system in America. We did, even though we don't have a primary religion. That official fact is why that system failed. Boom. That's how they did it. They attacked the fact that America doesn't have an official religion. When they did that, they was able to attack the rules and regulations that were being guided by the religion, but they were not supported in law. They didn't have a strong foundation for it. That's why the dating and mating system in America, the religious one we had, it failed. Boom. See, it was what? Culture. A religious dating and mating culture passing as an official dating system. What did I tell y'all? Culture is what you do. An official system is what? In law. You gotta do it. Culture is volunteer. You brush your teeth every morning, your culture is brushing your teeth every morning. When you want somebody else to do it, you're trying to encourage them to do it. When you telling them you ain't got no choice, that's a law. That's objective. That's not culture anymore. That is objective. See, culture is subjective. Law is objective. What do they say about the law? Ignorance of the law is not an excuse of the law. Because people say, well, I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about all that. I didn't know I had to do that. And the judge say, yeah, well, you should have known. Send him away. Take him away, bailiff. Because ignorance is not sufficient. This is something that you have to know as a citizen. It is objective. Now, if you don't agree with it, that's a subjective position. Guess what you have to do? You have to work to change the law. Until then, you have to do what? Comply with the law. Boom. So our first religious dating system, which was before the sexual revolution, it was built on culture with very weak laws that were in law. Very weak laws. When it came to challenge it, they were able to defeat it. One of those would be what? LGBTQ weddings. I know it just became official, what, in 2010 or something like that? I don't know. I remember that. I think it was Overton. I think that's what it was, Supreme Court case. But to be honest with you, they got gay marriage when they did the sexual revolution. Once they destroyed the weak religious dating system before the sexual revolution, in my opinion, that's when they had everything right there. That was it. Because the government couldn't support this weak system anymore. Why? Because we have a secular government. See, when it came time to test it, I let me explain the concept when I say test it. And this is what I call the chain of command analogy. Some of y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. Let's say you got Jack and Jill. I always use Jack and Jill. Or Chad and Stacy. Whatever you want to like. Jack and Jill get married, right? They get married. Fa la la la, great. Jill is getting bored. I'm bored. I'm tired of watching my friends go to Coachella. Shout out to the Villarosa sisters. I'm tired of seeing these girls go out there and get STDs. I'm not saying they did, but every year there's an STD outbreak at Coachella. Shout out to Coachella. That's right down the road from me, by the way, in the desert. They got it in the desert, you know? And now she's tired. Jill's like, you know what? I'm 18, I'm 21, I'm 24. Shit, I want to go to Coachella too. Yeah, I know about the STDs and people getting blown out. I don't care if I'm married. I want to go too. Damn it, I want to go to Coachella too. Now, right there, Jack is in trouble. He's in trouble because Jack got to make a decision. He got to say what? Yes or no? Now, he might try to slide it and say, yeah, you can go, but you can go with me. We'll go together, you know. But Jill gonna say, that ain't good enough. I don't like that. I don't want to go with you. I want to go by myself. I want to be my own woman. I want my own experience, my own feelings. I want to be independent. I want to do something outside of my marriage. Now, Jack's really in trouble. Boy, he's in trouble. Now, at that point, in a dating system, you're going to find out how strong your dating system is. Jack gives her the first no. Nope, not going to happen. You're not going to Coachella. I don't care. I don't care what they do it out there. You ain't going. You my wife, and I forbid you from going. I'm not gonna support it. Now Jill goes to her father if he's around, or her mother. Just say she goes to her parents. She goes to her parents. Her parents say, "Guess what, Jill? You are married now. You are a married woman. I know the Villarosa sisters out there. I know Billy Ash gonna be out there. All right, I know them girls gonna be getting blown out. Taylor Swift and all the rest of them. Tia Mowry's gonna be out there looking for men in trash cans, you know, that kind of stuff. But you're not going. You're a married woman. We married you, and we forbid you from going against your husband. You understand? Your husband is the head of the house. Why? Because God said that. There you go. Okay, that's the first test. Jill don't like that answer. I don't like that answer. So now Jill goes to the pastor. She goes to her pastor. Her pastor says, Jill, based on this Torah, this Quran, this Bible, whatever, these scribes, God says you are supposed to listen to your husband. You are not supposed to be going to Coachella. I don't care if Beyonce gonna be out there at 40 something years old. It's gonna drop. She gonna have to pick it up. Who cares? You're not going. You're not going. I don't care if they doing the where them fans at dance. We don't care about none of that. Where them fans at? You ain't going out there doing it because you're a married woman. I forbid it because God told me to tell you that. That's from the man upstairs himself. That's it. We out of here. Jill don't like that answer. She goes to her school counselor or let's say her psychologist or therapist or whatever, that best friend. It could be one of them two. All three can serve that role. She goes to that group. Say, look, I really want to go to this Coachella. I don't give a damn about what Jack wants. I'm my own woman, and I don't care about what that religion say. I never believed in it any damn way. I just did it because everybody told me to do it. I'm going anyway. What do you got to say on it? Now, to her surprise, what do they say? They say, look, look, look. I know as a psychologist, as a counselor, as your best friend, because it can be either one of those. I know I'm not the most religious person, but I'm telling you, I don't think you should do that, girl. Jack loves you. Jack, I mean, that man is a good man. That best friend who can't get married. Look, girl, I can't even. I went to Coachella last year and I still can't find a man. That best friend who is going? Yeah, I'm going this year, but next year I'm going to be the same single woman. I'm still going to be at home alone, drinking wine and all that. I ain't got a man yet. You got a man. Why you want to be like me? That shocks and that surprised Jill. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't be friends with her no more. I can't go to this psychologist no more. I can't go to this counselor or dating coach or whatever hell else they come up, whatever emotional person come up with title. I can't be around you no more. I can't believe you told me to listen to my husband. That's awful. It looks like Jill's running out of options, right? Husband said no, parents said no, pastor said no, psychologist, counselor, or best friend, they all said no. But she got one more play. One more play. She got one more play. What is that? She got the law of the land. She got the place that decides what goes on in dating and mating in law. Boom. She got it. She got it. She absolutely got it. She goes to the government. She goes to that government and she went to the U.S. government. And she said, Your Honor, I want to go to Coachella. I want to go. I know all these other people told me that I'm not supposed to go. But I got a marriage license from your government and I want to go. Judge going to say, You really want to go? Absolutely. Here's an EBT card. Have fun. Go. Boom. Matter of fact, when you come back, here's some Section 8. Go have fun. Boom. And while all that's waiting, we'll put you up in a hotel. Call a woman's shelter. Go have fun. Boom. Every last person up to that point has no power to override what that judge just told her. Why? Because he is the law. He's representing the law of the land. She just override everyone. If you look at it in spades, that's the big joker. Or if you're playing aces high, that's the ace of spades. It don't get no higher than that. That's the top card. Guaranteed book as you play in spades. Shout out to my spade players. I'm guaranteed one. I know I got one book because I got the top card. That's why the religious dating system we had in America failed, because at the highest level, the government is not a religious government. It's not a theocracy. It is a secular government. That's how they did it. That is why these people offline are going to fail. They can start these movements all they want. I laugh at them. Not because I don't want them to succeed in terms of improving our conditions. Let's be honest, y'all. We are in trouble. We are in trouble as a nation. I acknowledge that every time. I don't know how much longer this secular dating system we have can survive, because we don't have rules and regulations. Now, let me make this very clear. You can have a secular dating system with rules and regulations, or you can have one without. That's the beauty of a secular dating system. It permits you to have whatever you want. Currently, we have no rules and regulations. So I don't want to make y'all think that a secular dating system is opposite of a religious dating system because it doesn't have any rules and regulations. No, it's just unique that our secular dating system does not have any rules and regulations. You can put in rules and regulations in a secular dating system. Yes, you can. Shout out to Obama. Yes, we can. That's what a lot of people find unique about America, because most countries around the world are running off of what? A theocracy or a kingship. The UK is a kingship. They can say all that crap about we're parliamentary and crap. Bullshit. That's a kingship. The king is still the fucking king over that country. Period. Boom. And a lot of people have been calling for him to do more. A lot of people saying we want the king to be more involved in the day-to-day matters. Now, they're fighting that tooth and nail in the UK and other places. Hey, we don't want the king getting in it, because that royal family's got a lot of problems right now. But at any time, shout out to the king. He can say, hey, I don't like what y'all doing in parliament for my country. I don't like these laws y'all passing in my country. He can do that at any time. Why? Because he's the head of the state. Period. Don't believe me? Try it. A lot of people ain't noticed. They don't never challenge you on that second part. They never challenge that second part. They don't, as they say, what do they say? Let sleeping dogs lie. Well, let's change that to let sleeping lions lie. Because the male lion is what? King of the jungle. He's sleeping? Leave him alone. Male lions sleep 22 hours a day as estimated. Between 18 to 22 hours a day. And they do their hunting at night. People think, oh, that means he a lazy lion. No, he don't have any predators. He can sleep in that sun in Africa and say, shit, I ain't got to worry about nothing. Because if anybody wake me up, they going to get nothing but fire. Boom. That's what the male lion is saying. Try me. Come wake me up in the middle of the day. You want to try this throne? Come try me. Not too many lions, not too many tigers or other lions try it. Tigers don't try them. Pumas, hyenas, wild dogs. Shout out to the painted dog. They don't. No other animal tries it. Same thing applies in the UK and all these other places. They got these royal families that are sleeping. And I'm telling y'all now, I'm making a prediction. You are going to see more activity out of these royal heads of states. Put me down on the record for that. You're going to see a lot of people saying, I don't like the fact that the king made this unorthodox, unusual decision over these matters. It's going to happen. Shout out to the Netherlands. Their king has been very active. It's going to happen. And y'all should know why. Why? Europe is dying. They got low birth rates. You think the king gonna sit back and let parliament nonsense stop that? You think he gonna sit back and let parliament bullshit don't find a solution to increase the birth rate? You out of your damn mind. Wake up, people. Wake up. My God. Shout out to an organization called the 19th Amendment News. Look them up. They put it on their website. Low birth rates is a bad deal for women's rights. Boom. That don't end well. It does not. So this idea that we're going to have a religious dating system in a secular government, right? It's complete foolishness. That's why it failed when they tried it. See, prior to the sexual revolution, people say the culture was strong. And what we said, culture is what you do. Yes, you had a lot of people doing what everybody else was doing. And some of that stuff was put into law. Some of it was. Some of it was. But a group of people came along and said no. And they challenged it. That would be who? The boomer generation. They challenged it, and the system was weak. Why? Because the government was weak. A lot of the rules and regulations prior to the sexual revolution was in religion. And yes, people were more religious back then. That is true. So as long as people stay religious, hey, your culture will stay fine if you don't have it in law. Problem is, people got less religious. When it came time to test these laws in law, the law wasn't on their side. They would go to the court and say, hey, such and such want to do this. This is not what we do. We always did this tradition. We always did this. The Bible say do this. The Bible say do X, Y, Z. Uncle Sam said, I don't give a damn what your Bible say. I don't care. I'm not governed by your Bible. I'm governed by the Constitution. Constitution is not in your Bible, so I don't have to listen to your Bible. And you did have some judges saying, well, I'm a Bible believing man, I believe in God. But guess what happened with that? Had another job saying, yeah, I believe in the Bible too. But your Bible, the Bible say this and you ain't following that. See how it goes? Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, Mormons. See all this stuff? All this confusion. In one religion. That's just one. Islam, what? Shiite, and what's the other one? Sunni Shiite. They got division. Buddhist monks. Some believe stand in the temple, some believe don't go out of the temple. This is why a religious dating system will not work. Period. It will not work because the government, it doesn't have an official religion. In order for these people who are offline and they want to create a religious dating system, you have to have a religious government. You got to have a theocracy. Boom. The reason why Iran, India, these two well-known oldest countries, by the way, those are two of the oldest, why they get the results they get in their regulated dating and mating system, it's because their rules and regulations come from a religion, and their religion is in the government. It is in law. There is no separation between church and state. That's why they're able to tell these women, God said you can't do it, when in fact it might be their husband saying, I don't want you to do it, but they'll say, God can't tell you to do it. God saying you can't do it, and they can go. She can go all the way up to the government, and the government gonna say, if God said that ain't what you're supposed to do, that's the law of the land. Deal with it. Boom. If that woman can go up the chain of command and the top person up top says yes, everybody down on the down below of the chain of command have no power. Period. You think you got power, you ain't got no power. King Charles can come out of that chair any day into Parliament and say, I don't like none of the stuff y'all doing. I'm the king of this country. We gonna do this and that's that. Boom. You think I'm lying? Try me. He can say that anytime. Try me. Wake up the lion in the broad daylight and see if you don't get fired when you wake him up. This is the status quo. We're not going to get a religious dating system. It's not going to happen. Can it happen? Yeah. How would that happen? You would have to destroy this country, which I don't want. I would be fighting to preserve America. So if you think, well, Alpha, the only way we can get rules and regulation is through religion, that's false. That is simply false. The feminists know that's true. They know what I'm telling you is true. They know it's false. They saying shit. I hope these men don't start thinking about rules and regulations outside of religion. They don't want you to do that. They want you to think about this failed idea of a religious dating system. They have no fear of that. Feminists don't fear that. They will twist that religion all kinds of ways to meet their agenda. That's what they did to the Christian religion. My God, how many women you seeing in the pulpit? We got one who went from the pulpit to OnlyFans and still's calling herself a preacher and telling the Christians what? You can't judge me. Your God said you gotta forgive me. And the first person he seen was a prostitute. Boom! How are you gonna put in rules and regulations when your religion say the first person he seen when he woke up was a prostitute? How you gonna tell women to be virgin brides? How you gonna do that? Your entire religion is based on virginity and you can't even enforce it. Unbelievable. This is where we are. The only reason why Islam works to keep rules and regulations in dating and mating is because they have it in the government. Period. The only reason why Hindu works as far as in dating and mating and making sure the rules and regulations work is because they got it in the government. Wake up. The feminists know that. And they know that you're not going to get your religious dating system because we have a secular government. They know that. That's why they don't fear it. I'm not going to say no names, but look at these two couples online pushing orthodoxy. Two fools. I call them the two fools, okay? Two complete fools running around here pushing this mess. And one of this girl, and I don't even want to get into that. I'll let you look them up on your own. Two fools. That's what I call them. Fools. I had a conversation with another YouTuber. Not going to say her name. She's trying to make a name for herself. She's a debater. I'm not going to say her name. And me and her got into a discussion. I told her, you're going the religious route, you're going to lose. If you think trying to push religion on people is going to fix this situation, I told her to her face, you are going to lose. Why? Because that's one of the flaws of a religious dating system. You have to overcome people' natural instinct to be resistant to the religion. Boom! People are going to be hostile to whatever religion you push on them. I don't care how much you talk about heaven and 100 virgins in heaven, or you're gonna get all these gold, whatever you push to them, they're gonna look at you like you crazy. So now you have to overcome that burden first, then you can get them to ascribe to whatever the religion wants you to do. Pray on Sunday, take a crap on Wednesday, whatever they want you to do. I don't know. Do you understand? That's why religious dating systems don't work if you don't have a government that backs it up. People think the religion itself is going, no, it's not. That's what I told her. I said the religion itself is not going to be strong enough. That's what they had in the sexual before the sexual revolution. They had a lot of people who believed in religious stuff. That is true. Those idiots didn't put it in law. Why? Because they couldn't put it in law. They had a few things in law. Those things that they did have in law got challenged and they got knocked down. Why? Because we have a secular government. That is why the rules and regulations, the regulated dating in America fell, because we have a secular government. When the test came, I just told you about the test. When Jill started testing the power and she's moving up the ladder of power, the chain of command, when she got to the top told her, do whatever you want. So you got two hurdles you would have to overcome just to get a religious dating system. One, you got to get people to believe in it. And two, you got to put it in the government in law. You can get 80% of the people in America to believe in your religion. Fair enough. Let's say you do that. You're still not going to make a dating and mating system. Why? You still have to overcome getting it into law. I keep telling you, custom is what you do. That's not law. That's not law. I don't believe in your custom. I'm not going to do it. What are you going to do to make me do it? How are you going to force me to brush my teeth in the morning when I don't want to brush my teeth? I do brush my teeth, okay? I do brush my teeth, y'all. But you understand what I'm saying? Culture is what you do. It's not the law. A culture can become the law. It can. But it's not the law until it officially becomes the law. It has to be on the books. Yes, it's that anal and technical. Absolutely. This is going to scare a lot of men. I'm going to say it, and a lot of women going to smile when I say this. I'm sorry, fellas. Women, let me say this. Some women with their agency, they will take the man that they want and his no, and they will adhere to it. That is true. I'm really into this man. This man is telling me no, I can't go to Coachella. I don't want to lose this man, I will listen to this man. I will submit. That can happen, absolutely. If your so called significant other, whatever you want to call it, wife, girlfriend, mate, if she's not head over heels for you, you tell her, no, you're not going to Coachella. You're going to need something to get her to submit outside of yourself. It is what it is. Boom. I don't advocate for violence at all. I never have. I never will on this channel. So when she starts checking the chain of command and the power, if she knows at the top that the answer is going to be no, she won't even start at the bottom. Even though she's not into you. Boom. Do y'all really think those women are head over heels over all their husbands in those regulated dating systems? Really? you this is what kills me about people, men and women. You really think those women ain't they thinking about Coachella too? They thinking about busting it open too. Absolutely. Problem is, it's just a thought. And that's where it stops. What do they say? Oh well, sucks to be me. Keep it moving. That's the way of the world. Keep it moving. Can't get everything we want. Keep it moving. They have to do that every day. Why? Because at the top is going to be a no. And they know if it goes to the top, serious consequences are coming for her. I'm going to say this and it needs to be said. Women need other men to protect them from other men and women. Boom. Women cannot protect men from other men, and they can't protect women from other women. They can't do it. It takes men. I'm right. One man can fend off four women. One woman ain't fending off four women, and one woman damn sure ain't fending off four men. That's the truth. We're not equal. Y'all know that on this channel. I'm never going to tell y'all a lie. Men and women are not equal, period. And if you didn't know, that's how laws become laws, which is what? Enforcement. Get out of the car. I'm officer such and such. Get out of the car. I don't want to get out of the car. I don't have to listen to you. Tell you what, get out of the car. I'm going to ask you one more time. I don't ever want none of my people to hear that statement. If you do, I'm telling you, get out of the car. Okay, get out of that car. Because what comes next is I'm going to take you out of the car. You're doing what? You're not complying with a lawful order. Boom. Plenty of men and women of every color, all religions, found that out the hard way. You don't have to listen to me? Is that what you're telling me? That's exactly what I'm telling you. I don't have to listen to you. Such and such on YouTube said I ain't never got to listen to you. I don't care about you. I don't care about nothing that you stand for. I know my rights. You know your rights? Yes, indeed. Get out of the car. I'm not getting out of the car. I tell you what, I'm asking you one more time, and I'm going to take you out of the car. What is he doing? Enforcing the laws. Do you get it? Enforcement. Enforcement. And what do most people say when that happens every day in this country? They say what? Oh, well, you should have complied. Boom. Do you get it? That's what a dating system is. You have to comply in law. I want to go to Coachella. You're not going to Coachella. Got anything else to say? You get it? That's for the women who don't really have head over heels feelings for their husbands. Those women do that every day. Now, if you're saying alpha, that sounds like oppression. So be it. So be it. That's what it is. Absolutely. It's oppression of what? Women's sexual agency. I've said that a million times on my channel. That's the concept that I'm trying to explain to y'all. I've said this over and over. If YouTube wants to ban me, I don't give a shit. Because I'm talking about the same thing that Louise Perry talks about, the same thing that Dr. David Buss talks about, the same thing that the government talks about, everybody talks about. It is what it is. Mary Ibark, she talks about it. Dr. Phil talks about it. Period. Judge Judy even talked about shout out to Judge Judy. It is what it is. There is no painless solution. There is no utopia in dating and mating. Period. Never has, never will be. So if you're saying that sounds like oppression, if you think it is, so be it. There are people right now in America who think American government is oppressive to them. That is their position. I can't change that. No, I'm not going to try. I can tell them all the examples of why it's great to live in this country. And in their mind, they've made the decision that I don't care. It's still oppressive for whatever reason that is. But guess what matters? Okay, you said it's oppressive. You believe it's oppressive. What are you going to do about it? I ain't going to do a motherfucking thing. I just want to talk about it. See how it works? Well, what are you going to do about it? I ain't doing nothing about it. I just want to talk about it. Fair enough, and I'll listen. That's the way of the world, y'all. We got to grow up. There is no painless solution. Listen, let me make this very clear. If you don't like the concept that I'm talking about, secular dating with rules and regulations, religious dating with rules and regulations, you don't like rules and regulations, you don't like that at all, you want total free agency, you already have that. You already got it. I'm just explaining to you what I discovered. You already have your utopia of no rules and regulations. You got it right now today. There is no majority rules and regulations. Do we have that now? No, we do not. You can get married today, divorce on Monday, and take half of everything everybody said, and there's not a goddamn thing anybody can do to stop it. Look up no fault divorce. The point I'm making, I'm explaining the concept of my book, and I'm explaining why a religious dating system cannot coexist with a secular dating system. And in America specifically, a religious dating system cannot exist because we have a secular government. Does everybody get that? This concept, it seems to be, I don't know why people can't get this concept. They just don't want to get it. I've had these fights with religious people. They don't get it. I've had these fights with atheists. They don't get it. The atheists, well, we definitely don't want a religious system. Then I say, well, what about a secular system with rules and regulations? Well, why we got to have rules and regulations? Well, look at the current status quo. What do you mean? Okay, well, what are the solutions to stop the current status quo? The current status quo is no rules and regulation in a secular dating system. We got a secular dating system. There is no rules and regulations. How do we fix what's going on? What do we need to fix? Well, we got a lot of single mothers. A lot of people complaining about that. Well, I don't see nothing wrong with that. We got a lot of broken families. I don't see nothing wrong with that. We got a lot of people riding the public service sectors. They say they're abusing it. I don't see nothing wrong with that. We got a lot of children having bad outcomes that comes from single parent home. I don't see nothing. You see how it goes? It just keep going on and on and on and on. But they don't want no rules and regulations. Look, I don't care what you say. I don't care about none of that. Just don't put no rules and regulations in. Fine with me. Oh well, I don't care. How long you think I don't care gonna matter in this society? I don't know and I don't think about it. As y'all can see, I'm starting to clown. Okay, that's some of the arguments I have with people. The point I'm making is this, y'all. On this broadcast, I'm gonna close this up right now. This is a long one, but I wanted to let y'all know that number one, the feminists, they don't fear a religious dating system. They don't. Because they know this government is secular. So they know it's never going to happen. And they know they're going to find a way to twist your religion against you. Because your religion is not making decisions based on logic. It's not making decisions based on scientific research, such as evolutionary biology, such as statistical outcomes. All right. And most religions have a soft spot for women. Most of them, not all. Out of the ones I know that's pretty, as has a strong backbone to women, it's pretty much Islam and Hindu. I don't know what the official title of Hindu religion is, but I know that India got a very strong backbone in their religion to women. They don't tolerate a lot of shit. They just don't. Same thing with Islam. They don't tolerate a lot of crap from women. They let them know real close up front we're not equal, and they operate from that, and they get good results. All right, but all the other religions that I know very brief amounts about, especially Christian religion, it is weak when it comes to dealing with dating and mating. They let those women get away with everything. And yes, I am putting it on women. And if you're an honest, real woman, as we say down south, if you're an honest, real bitch, you know I'm telling the truth. You'll know this is not misogyny. You'll know that right now we got women divorcing perfect husband. Look that up. He's too perfect. We got women doing that right now. We got a group of women complaining, a lot of women, I can't find a husband. And the women who found a husband saying, I'm going to divorce him because he's too perfect. This is what's going on. So that's why I say a religious dating system won't work, because feminists don't fear that. But feminists hate evolutionary biology. They hate statistics. And they damn sure hate logic. And they absolutely detest outcomes that they have created. They don't like to talk about the outcomes. They can't stand talking about why we got all these single mothers, why we got all these children coming out with these single parents bad outcomes and these bad situations that these people are living under, why we got all these breakups and divorces, foodie calls. They absolutely hate talking about that stuff, because it forces them to take accountability for what they advocated for. This entire unregulated secular dating system that we have, it was created by them. This is the natural programming of women. When you have no rules and regulation, this is the status that you get every time. So I wanted to make that clear for the people who think religion is going to be the savior. It is not. Unfortunately, it won't work because our government cannot back your play. She goes up the chain of command. Uncle Sam is not going to be there to say, yes, you're right. Uncle Sam going to say, do what the fuck you want. I don't care, Jill. Do what you want. You're hoping when you get up there, Uncle Sam is going to say, yes, I'm going to back the husband play. She's not going to Coachella. He going to say, baby, here's the ticket. Here's a Metro Pass. Here's an EBT card. We got a hotel for you for the night. Go have fun. Do what you do. I'll see you tonight at about 10. I'll be out there with you too. Okay, I'll be looking at Taylor Swift and the Villarosa sisters and Billy Eilish and all the rest of them. I'm out there too. I'm doing it too, baby. Fuck Jack. Jack he ain't with the times. He ain't got the vibe. He ain't got enough game. Who gives a shit? There's the Golden Coast card. Take that motherfucker. You got $500 to eat on me. Don't worry about the hotel. We got you. We're going to put you in a Motel 8. Do what you do. I'm the big chief here. I got the final say so. None of those people can outrank my word. Do what you do. That is the situation we're in now, and feminists know that. That's why they don't fear a religious dating system. If you want to understand more about that, go look at my broadcast called what? The New Fake Victorian Era. We got a women versus women war coming. It's going to be fake Victorian women versus the women who didn't make it. That's all it's going to be. Fake Victorian, fake, fake, fake. They are fake as hell. That's most of your trad wives. They're fake. Fake Victorian women. They're not virgin brides. Look it up. Go check that broadcast out. I broke all that down. So the only solution is to go to a secular dating system with rules and regulations. They fear that because it's not going to be in religion. It's going to be in logic. It's going to be in evolutionary science. It's going to be in psychological analysis. And most importantly, it's going to be in outcomes. They do not want that. They fear that the most. When you say we're going to make rules and regulation in law to create better outcomes, feminists run like roaches when you cut the lights on. Where they at? You can't find them now. So that's what I want to tell y'all tonight. This was probably my longest one, but this one needed to be said. This is the secular data system versus the religious data system. Number one, feminists don't fear a religious data system. Number two, the two cannot coexist. There will be a majority, there will be a minority. If I can use percentages, it's going to be 90-10. It's not even going to be 80-20. 90% of whatever system is around is going to be the dominant. So a secular data system cannot equally coexist with a religious, and a religious cannot equally coexist. Either secular is going to be 90 or religious is going to be 90. That's just the way it goes. And last but not least, in order for you to have a religious dating system, you have to have a theocracy. There cannot be no separation of church and state. It is what it is. And if it's not a theocracy, it has to be a kingship, meaning royalty. So shout out to the kings out there. You can have a religious dating system if your king is the same religion. That's true. Your king is a Muslim, hey, you're going to have a Muslim religious data system. If your king is a Christian, you're going to have a king, king religion, religious data system. You can, but you can't have separation church and state. It won't work. If there's separation of church and state, your religious data system will fall. That's what happened with the sexual revolution. When it came time for the test, Jill went up the ladder and she found out at the ladder that she had it. She had support at the ladder. That was it. They destroyed everything. And you see the results we have now today. So I'll leave y'all with that. Shout out to that nice, lovely E-Waste art on the screen. Believe it or not, y'all, I got that out of a 1960s piano. I thought it was rather cool because it is technically low grade. If you want to find out about my e-waste grades, go to Mining for Metals at Home. Mining for Metals at Home. That's my other YouTube page. I talk about the different grades of e-waste. They call that low grade because of the color of the board. That's that beige color or brown color. But technically, that's high grade because that's a microchip from 1960. That thing is loaded with gold. It is loaded with gold. So I took a picture of that because I said that's some nice, lovely e-waste art. All right, y'all. It's me. It's your boy Alpha, the first one. The channel is E-Waste Dating Tips by A11 or A11 E-Waste Dating Tips. And you can find me on all the platforms: Odyssey, BitChute, YouTube, DTube. You can find me there. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on any social media, Twitter, Discord. I don't do that shit. If it's social media that's just strictly running your mouth, I don't do that. Like Facebook, Instagram, that's not me. I don't do that shit. I don't have time for it. I'm not on TikTok, so don't look for me on TikTok. I personally don't trust TikTok. I think Chinese government is doing something with it, and I don't like it. Bad enough they got enough of my information. I don't need them to have any more. And I don't particularly care for TikTok because the TikTok girls are always coming up with trends and all that stupid shit. All right. Shout out to my trolls. Shout out to the night shift. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget about you. No matter how small I am or how big I am, I'm always gonna shout y'all out. Shout out to the graveyard shift. Shout out to the night shift. Shout out to the swing shift. And for everybody else I forgot, peace.